The old maps called it the dead zone. Every species in the galaxy knew to stay away from the small yellow star at the edge of the Orion Arm. For 500,000 years, no ship had entered that region and returned. The warnings passed down through generations spoke of radiation, of poison, of a species that had burned itself to ash in nuclear fire. Sola did not believe the warnings. She was a Paulian scientist, her translucent body glowing with soft blue light as she studied the sensor readings aboard the wandering light. Her species communicated through bioluminescence, and right now her patterns flickered with excitement. The readings made no sense. There should be nothing here but debris and dust. Instead, her instruments showed metal, lots of metal, arranged in patterns too perfect to be natural. "We should turn back," said her navigator, a young male named Drift. His light patterns showed fear. "The Council forbids entry into this system. The Council forbids many things." Sola replied, knowledge should not be one of them. She had spent 40 years requesting permission to study the human exclusion zone, 40 years of rejection. Finally, she had simply stopped asking. Her ship was small, her crew was loyal, and her curiosity was stronger than her fear. The wandering light passed through the outer asteroid belt, and Sola's breath caught in her throat. Ships, thousands of ships. They hung in the void like sleeping giants, arranged in precise geometric formations that stretched across millions of kilometers. Some were small, barely larger than her own vessel, others were enormous, their hulls the size of moons. All of them were dark, silent, waiting. "That is impossible," Drift whispered. "Nothing survives 500,000 years in space." But these ships had survived. Sola could see it in her readings. Their hulls showed no decay, no damage, no signs of age. Whatever material the humans had used, it had protected these vessels perfectly. They looked as though they had been built yesterday. "They are not wrecks," Sola said slowly. "They are a fleet." Her crew gathered around her station, 7 Palians staring at data that rewrote everything they knew about the dead species called humanity. The historical records said humans had destroyed themselves. The records said their system was uninhabitable. The records, Sola now realized, were lies. "Look at the formation," said her engineer, pallid bright. His patterns showed calculation. Analysis. "These ships are positioned for defense. They protect each other's blind spots. This is a military deployment." "A military deployment against what?" asked Drift. No one had an answer. Sola directed her ship deeper into the formation, weaving between the silent giants. Her sensors catalogued everything: weapons systems dormant but intact, engine cores cold but functional, life support systems in standby mode. These ships were not dead, they were asleep. Then she saw the largest vessel. It dwarfed everything around it, a dreadnought so massive that Sola's instruments struggled to measure it. The human designation, still visible on its hull in a language dead for millennia, read Prometheus. According to her database, that was the name of a figure from human mythology, a being who gave fire to his people. "We need to leave," Drift said. His light patterns were now pure white with terror. "We need to leave right now." But Sola could not move. She stared at the Prometheus, at the dark windows that might have once held human eyes, at the weapon arrays that could probably destroy her entire homeworld. She thought about what it meant that humanity had built this, had hidden this, had kept this secret for 500,000 years. Then a light appeared on the dreadnought's hull, just one light at first, a small red glow near what might have been a bridge, then another light, then 10, then 100. The glow spread across the Prometheus like blood flowing through veins, cascading from system to system, deck to deck. "Their power is activating," Pallid Bright said. His voice was barely audible. "We triggered something." Sola tried to engage her engines, but nothing happened. Her ship was locked in place by forces she could not identify. The wandering light hung helpless as the ancient dreadnought came to life around them. The light spread beyond the Prometheus. Ship after ship began to glow as the awakening signal passed through the fleet: fighters, destroyers, cruisers, carriers, thousands of vessels stirring from their long sleep. The darkness of the dead zone was becoming a sea of light. Then the voice came. It emerged from Sola's communication systems, old and synthetic, speaking words that had not been spoken for 500,000 years. Her translation software struggled with the ancient human language, processing, adapting, until finally the meaning became clear. Biological signatures detected, classification, non-hostile, initiating contact protocol. Please stand by for awakening verification. Sola looked at her crew. They looked back at her. None of them knew what to say. Outside, the fleet continued to wake. Running lights traced patterns across hulls that had waited in darkness since before Sola's species had discovered fire. Weapon systems hummed with power that could crack planets. Engines warmed for journeys that might span the galaxy. What have we done? Drift asked. Sola watched the lights spread, ship after ship after ship, an armada beyond anything the modern galaxy could imagine. She thought about the lies in the historical records, about the warnings that kept everyone away, about the species that had supposedly destroyed itself. I think, she said quietly, we have woken them up. The Prometheus turned its attention toward the tiny Paulian vessel, and Sola felt the weight of 500,000 years pressing down upon her. Humanity had not died, humanity had been waiting, and now the wait was over. The shuttle bay of the Prometheus could have held a small city. Sola and her crew stood at its center, 7 small figures surrounded by machines and structures built for beings they had never met. Emergency lights painted everything in soft amber, casting long shadows across landing pads designed for craft much larger than the wandering light. They had not chosen to come here, the dreadnought had simply taken them, pulling their ship inside with tractor beams that felt almost gentle. Now they waited, uncertain whether they were guests or prisoners. Footsteps echoed in the vast space. Something was approaching. It walked on 2 legs like a human, but it was clearly a machine. Its body was smooth silver metal, its movements precise and fluid. Where a face should have been, there was only a smooth surface. As the machine drew closer, that surface flickered, and a projection appeared, a human face made of light, with kind eyes and an expression of infinite patience. Welcome, the machine said. Its voice was warm, almost friendly. I am Vigil. I have maintained this fleet for 502,847 years, 3 months, and 12 days. You are the first visitors I have received. Sola found her voice. What is this place? What is this fleet? This is humanity's final gift to the galaxy, Vigil replied. Please, allow me to explain. The machine led them through corridors that seemed to stretch forever. Holographic displays lined the walls, showing frozen images of humans in their daily lives, children playing in parks, scientists working in laboratories, soldiers standing at attention. All of them paused, preserved, as though time itself had stopped. These are memories, Vigil explained. I keep them so that I do not forget why I exist. They entered a chamber filled with glass pods, thousands of them, stacked in rows that reached toward a ceiling lost in darkness. Inside each pod, a human lay sleeping. Their chests rose and fell with slow, steady breaths. Their faces were peaceful. There are 12 billion humans in this fleet, Vigil said. Not soldiers, civilians, scientists, artists, teachers, children, the entire remaining population of Earth. Preserved in stasis for 500,000 years. Drift stepped closer to one of the pods. Inside, a young human woman slept, her dark hair floating gently in the suspension fluid. Why? He asked. Why would they do this? Vigil's projected face shifted, showing something that might have been sorrow. Because they saw what was coming. The machine led them to a control room where screens displayed star charts of the entire galaxy. Vigil manipulated the display, zooming out until the galaxy itself became small, until the void between galaxies filled the screen. 500,000 years ago, human scientists detected something approaching from outside the galaxy, something vast, something that would arrive in approximately this time period. They calculated that no existing technology could stop it, no alliance of species could survive it. The galaxy would be consumed. Sola stared at the display. What did they do? They prepared, Vigil said. They built this fleet in secret, ships capable of defending the entire galaxy, weapons that could challenge gods. They could not tell the other species. Panic would have destroyed civilization long before the threat arrived, so they created a lie. They made the galaxy believe that humanity had destroyed itself. They poisoned their own reputation so that no one would come looking. The dead zone, Pallidbright said. The warnings, it was all deliberate, yes. Humanity chose to be forgotten so that they could protect a galaxy that would never know what they sacrificed. Vigil showed them more. Engineering bays where human technology waited to be shared, medical facilities that could heal diseases unknown to modern science, archives containing the complete knowledge of human civilization. Everything had been preserved, maintained, waiting for this moment. The humans knew they could not survive the wait. Vigil continued. Biological beings cannot remain active for 500,000 years, so they put themselves to sleep. They trusted me to watch over them, to wake them when the time came. Sola felt something strange in her chest. It took her a moment to recognize it as grief for a species that had given up everything, that had surrendered their place in the galaxy so that others might live. The threat, she said. How close is it? Vigil's display changed again. At the edge of the galaxy, something dark was moving, a wave of shadow that blotted out the stars it passed. Less than 50 years, the awakening must begin now, but there is a complication. What complication? I cannot complete this task alone. The galaxy has changed in ways I did not anticipate. The humans will wake to find themselves strangers in their own universe. They will need allies. They will need someone to speak for them until they can speak for themselves. Vigil looked directly at Sola. I need you to return to your people, tell them the truth, warn them what is coming, prepare them for the return of humanity. They will not believe me, Sola said. Some will not, some will try to seize this fleet for themselves, some will fear humanity more than the darkness approaching, but some will listen, some will understand, and that may be enough. Sola looked at her crew, she looked at the sleeping humans in their pods, she thought about the galaxy that had no idea what had been done for them, what was still being done. I will try, she said. Vigil's projected face smiled. That is all anyone can do, now go. The sleepers are waking, and we have very little time. She dreamed of sunlight on water, she dreamed of her daughter's laughter, she dreamed of a world that no longer existed, green and blue and alive. Then the dreams faded, and Admiral Rosa opened her eyes to find herself drowning in cold gel. The stasis pod drained around her, mechanical arms supported her body as she coughed fluid from her lungs, every muscle ached, every nerve screamed. She had known the awakening would be painful, but knowing and experiencing were different things. Admiral Rosa. A familiar voice said, "Welcome back, you have been asleep for 502,850 years, Vigil." She remembered Vigil. She remembered standing on the bridge of the Prometheus, giving the order to begin the long sleep. She remembered wondering if she would ever wake up. Status report, she managed to say. Her voice was raw, barely a whisper. The fleet is intact, awakening protocols are proceeding. The first wave of military personnel will be revived within 6 months. However, there have been developments you must be aware of. Rosa listened as Vigil explained everything. The Paulian discovery, the message sent to the Galactic Council, the reactions ranging from disbelief to fear to greed. A coalition of military powers was already assembling at the edge of the Sol system, demanding that humanity surrender the fleet. How many ships? Rosa asked. 200 warships from 12 different species. They arrived 3 days ago. They have issued an ultimatum. We have 48 hours to respond. Rosa laughed. It hurt her throat, but she laughed anyway. 200 ships, against 8,000. They have no idea what they are dealing with. They believe the fleet is automated. They believe you are all still asleep. They do not understand that I could destroy them in minutes if I chose, but you have not. No, that is not what you built me for. Rosa pulled herself upright. Her body was weak, atrophied from 500,000 years of sleep, but her mind was sharp. She had planned for this. She had planned for everything. Show me, she said. Vigil projected images directly into her visual cortex. The Council fleet hung at the system's edge, their weapons powered, their shields raised. They looked impressive by modern standards, by human standards. They were children playing with toys. The Paulian scientist, Rosa said. Sola, where is she? Returning. She has spent 3 years advocating for humanity in Council space. She has gathered supporters from 40 species. They are aboard her vessel, approaching the system now. Good, we will need allies, especially after what I am about to do. Rosa gave the order, and the destroyer Relentless came to life. The Council fleet detected it immediately. A single human warship, tiny compared to their combined forces, moving toward them at impossible speed. Their sensors could not track it properly. It was there, then it was somewhere else, then it was somewhere else again. Their targeting systems could not lock on. The Relentless passed through their formation like a ghost. It did not fire a single shot. It did not need to. The message was clear. We could destroy you. We choose not to. Then Rosa broadcast her message. This is Admiral Rosa of the Human Defense Fleet. We are not your enemies. We never were. 500,000 years ago, we detected a threat approaching this galaxy, a threat that would destroy everything. We built this fleet to stop it. We put ourselves to sleep so that we could wake when we were needed. That time is now. she paused, letting the words sink in. We do not want your ships, we do not want your territory, we do not want to rule over anyone, we want to help, we want to share our technology, our knowledge, our strength. But we cannot do this alone, the threat is real. It is coming, and if we fight each other instead of standing together, we will all die. The Council fleet did not respond. Rosa had not expected them to. Trust could not be built in a single conversation, it would take time, effort, proof. She had 40 years, maybe less. Vigil, she said, begin the full awakening, wake everyone, the scientists, the engineers, the teachers, wake the families, wake the children. If we are going to save this galaxy, we need all of us, understood, Admiral. There is one more thing you should see. The display changed. Deep space sensors had detected something at the galaxy's edge, a shadow moving between the stars, a wave of darkness that swallowed light itself. It was still far away, but it was coming, faster than the original projections had predicted. Rosa stared at the image. She thought about the world she had left behind, the oceans and forests and cities, the people who had trusted her to keep them safe, all of it preserved in memory, in data, in the sleeping minds of 12 billion humans. 40 years, she said. Perhaps less. Then we cannot waste a single day. Outside, the fleet continued to wake. Light spread across ships that had waited in darkness for longer than most civilizations existed. Engines hummed with power that could reshape worlds. And in their stasis pods, humanity opened its eyes. The long sleep was over. The real work was about to begin. The war room of the Unity held representatives from 300 species. Paulian bioluminescence mixed with the crystal harmonics of the Ven, the deep rumbling speech of the Grunder blended with the clicking language of the insectoid chitter. In the center of it all stood Admiral Rosa, older now, her hair white, her body worn by 42 years of preparation. The darkness was 5 years away. Final fleet counts. Rosa said, her voice carried easily through the translation systems. Report. A Grunder general, massive and stone-skinned, stepped forward. 52,000 warships ready for deployment, 200 mobile battle stations, the original human fleet of 8,000 vessels fully operational, all crews are mixed species as requested. Rosa nodded. 40 years ago, the galaxy had feared humanity. Now humans served alongside aliens on every ship, learning from each other, teaching each other. The coalition was not just an alliance, it was a family forged in the fire of shared purpose. What about the Meridian Empire? She asked. Sola moved to answer. The Paulian scientist was old now, her light patterns slower than they once were, but her mind remained sharp. Our intelligence suggests they have built a secret fleet of approximately 4,000 ships. They plan to let us weaken the darkness, then seize control of human technology afterward. Should we confront them? The Grunder asked. No. Rosa shook her head. We need every ship we can get, even theirs. When the battle begins, they will have to choose. Fight with us or die alone. I believe they will make the right choice. The display changed, showing the galaxy's edge. The darkness was visible now on long-range sensors, a wave of shadow stretching across light years, consuming everything in its path. Stars went dark as it passed, planets were stripped to their cores, nothing survived. We have received communication from the swarm, Vigil reported. The AI had distributed itself across the fleet. Present on every ship, coordinating everything. It is not language as we understand it, it is images, emotions, memories. Show us, Rosa said, the display filled with alien visions, a civilization flourishing among distant stars, cities of light and music, beings of energy and matter living in harmony. Then something changed, a greater darkness appeared, something that made the swarm itself look gentle. The civilization fled, it ran for millions of years, consuming everything in its path to fuel its escape. It forgot what it once was, it became the thing it feared. They are refugees, Sola said quietly, not invaders, refugees who have destroyed 10,000 star systems, the Grunder replied, refugees who will destroy 10,000 more. Rosa studied the images, she saw the fear in them, the desperation. These beings had been running for so long they had forgotten how to do anything else. They were victims who had become monsters. We hold the line, she said finally. We do not let them pass, but we do not seek to destroy them completely. If there is any chance of communication, any chance of redirecting them away from inhabited space, we take it, and if they will not listen, then we do what we must, but we try, we always try. that is what makes us different from the darkness we face. The final preparations took 3 months, ships moved into position along a defensive line spanning 300 light-years, every vessel knew its role, every crew understood the stakes. This was not just a battle, it was the moment everything had been building toward for 500,000 years. Rosa stood on the bridge of the Unity, watching the tactical display. Around her, humans and aliens worked together with practiced efficiency. Palians coordinated sensor data, Grunder managed weapons systems, Ven monitored communications, Chitter engineers kept everything running. Admiral, Vigil said, the darkness has reached engagement range, it has stopped. Rosa looked at the display. The swarm had paused at the edge of sensor range, its vast bulk hovering like a storm cloud on the horizon. It seemed to be studying them, evaluating this strange obstacle that had appeared in its path. For the first time in its journey, Vigil continued, something stands in its way, then let us show them what they face. Rosa opened a channel to every ship in the fleet. All vessels, this is Admiral Rosa, we have trained for this moment, we have sacrificed for this moment, our ancestors gave up everything so that we could be here, we will not let them down. She paused, looking at the faces around her, human and alien, young and old, all of them united by something greater than species or history. Today, we fight, not for territory, not for pride, not for revenge, we fight because the galaxy trusted us to protect it, we fight because that is what we chose to do 500,000 years ago, we fight because some things are worth fighting for. The display showed the darkness beginning to move, it flowed toward them like a living tide, countless entities bound together by survival instinct and ancient fear. Weapons charged across the fleet, shields powered up, crews made final preparations. Rosa watched the swarm approach. She thought about the humans still sleeping in stasis chambers, the families waiting for a future that might never come. She thought about Sola, about Vigil, about all the beings who had trusted her with their lives. All vessels, she said, engage. The Battle of the Edge began. 3 months of fire and death. The defensive line had bent but never broken. Over half the fleet was gone, reduced to debris drifting between the stars. Entire species had lost their homeworlds to swarm tendrils that slipped through gaps in the formation. But the main body of the darkness had been stopped. The Unity was barely functional. Emergency lights flickered in damaged corridors. Hull breaches had been sealed with emergency foam. Rosa sat in her command chair, surrounded by exhausted crew members who had not slept in days. Then Vigil spoke. Admiral, the swarm is attempting communication again. This time, it is different. The display filled with new images, not fear, not hunger, something else. The swarm was showing them its oldest memories, a time before the running, a time when it had been a civilization of artists and dreamers, beings who created beauty instead of destruction. They remember. Sola said, the old Paulian had refused to leave the bridge throughout the battle. Her light patterns were dim with exhaustion. Our resistance reminded them of what they used to be. Can we talk to them? Rosa asked. Unknown, their communication is emotional, not linguistic. Someone would need to share memories directly, it would be dangerous. Sola stepped forward. I will go. You are too old, Rosa said gently, the strain could kill you. I am dying already, my species does not live as long as yours, I have perhaps a year left, maybe less. Sola's patterns flickered with something like peace. Let my final act mean something. Rosa wanted to argue, she wanted to find another way, but she saw the determination in Sola's light, the same determination that had driven the Paulian scientist into the Forbidden Zone all those years ago. Go, Rosa said, and thank you, for everything. Sola broadcast herself into the void, not her body, but her mind. Her memories flowed outward in patterns the swarm could understand. She showed them the first discovery of the sleeping fleet, the wonder and the fear. The years of building trust between species, the moment when enemies became allies. She asked them one simple question, do you remember who you were before the running? The swarm fell silent, its countless entities turned inward, searching through memories older than most stars. They found something buried deep, almost forgotten, a sense of beauty, a capacity for creation, a choice. The response came not in images but in action. The swarm began to turn, slowly at first, then faster. The main body shifted away from the galactic core, orienting itself toward the vast empty spaces between galaxies. Not all of it followed, some parts were too far gone, too lost in survival instinct. Those parts continued to fight and were destroyed, but most of the darkness remembered. most of the darkness chose to be something else. Sola died in the communication. Her consciousness simply stopped, her light fading to nothing, but she died having done something no one had ever done before. She had shown monsters that they did not have to be monsters. 1 year later, the survivors gathered at the coordinates where the wandering light had first entered the Sol system. Ships from every coalition species formed a memorial formation. At the center, where the Paulian survey vessel had once drifted alone, a monument now floated, a statue of Sola, her arms raised, her light patterns frozen in the moment of her final broadcast. Rosa spoke to the assembled fleet. Her voice was tired but steady. 500,000 years ago, my ancestors looked into the night and saw the end of everything. They could have run, they could have hidden, they could have saved only themselves. Instead, they built something to give the galaxy a chance, not humanity's chance, everyone's chance. That was always the plan. She looked at the monument, at the alien faces on the screens around her. Today, we do not celebrate victory, we remember sacrifice, we honor those who trusted us with their futures. Sola believed that even the darkest things could change. She was right, and because of her, the galaxy survives. 10,000 years passed, the coalition had become something new. Humans lived among aliens, their populations intermingled, their cultures blended. The war fleet had been disassembled, its technology shared freely. Vigils still existed, distributed across countless systems, maintaining the historical archives, watching the galaxy's edge for any sign of the greater dark that had driven the swarm. On a small planet in what was once the exclusion zone, a child looked up at the stars. She was part human, part Paulian, part something entirely new. Her skin was translucent, her patterns flickering with curiosity. "Grandmother," she said, "what happened to the old fleet? The one that protected everyone?" The grandmother smiled, her lineage traced back to Sola's family, adopted by humanity after the Paulian scientist's death. She carried that legacy like a gift. "Sit down," she said, "let me tell you a story. A long time ago, humanity fell silent. Everyone thought they were gone, but they were not gone. They were waiting, preparing, hoping, for this." She gestured at the sky, at the stars that burned peacefully in the darkness. "For us." The child listened, her patterns glowing brighter. Somewhere above them, Vigil watched and remembered. The silence was finally over, and the galaxy lived on.